Vaush literally said that in regards to me. Aristocracy was coping incredibly hard about, I got clipped out of context, which I already proved beyond any reasonable doubt that is absolutely not true at all. And then she said that because I compare Israeli settler colonialism to Nazi settler colonialism, that I must support the Holocaust. And Vaush agreed. Like, we're not going to watch the whole 2-hour clip of them coping together and Vaush running interference for a genocidal Zionist settler colonist, but that part was absolutely hilarious and it merits mockery. This was her excuse, by the way. I don't think I ever actually quoted it.
Teaching people about history or something,
but it represented it accurately.
Be kind of giving their perspective in that moment, right? And so that got clipped completely out of context. And yeah, and that's why if you watch the video, even just if you watch the 10 minutes around it, it's very clear what I'm talking about.
God. That is just so incredibly dishonest. Such a complete lie. Unbelievable stuff. That Vaush, essentially gives a Zionist ethno-nationalist this platform to come on and rehabilitate her image. It's just disgusting. Anyway, the Holocaust part, that was the funny bit.
He did say, I was watching one of his videos saying he did say some kind of JQ sassy stuff.
That's really funny, because my video regarding the Jewish question was a historical video, and its title was a parody of a Vaush video addressing the Jewish question while not playing Bloodborne. This video is specifically a parody of a Vaush video with a fucking hilarious title. I think he deleted it. But Vaush had a video that was called debating the Jewish question while playing Bloodborne. And my video was specifically a response to that, but actually giving historical context as to what the phrase the Jewish question actually means. But that's what it was. It's just hilarious because it's a title that is parodying Vaush. She's talking to Vaush and coping here about me supposedly raising the Jewish question or something. When I was that video was a parody of Vaush debating the Jewish question while playing Bloodborne. But this next part, this is incredible. Hold on. Just this entire 20 seconds or so is an absolute marvel of the so-called bad faith that these people always accuse others of engaging with.
And the fact that he just totally discounts. He also every time he gives me an analogy to demonstrate how evil I am, it always involves the Holocaust.
Yep. Nazism is by far the example of settler colonialism that most people are by far the most familiar with and have the best understanding of. So if you want to put any modern settler colonial project into its proper context, Nazism is the way to go, because everyone already knows about it and conceives of it in a way where they understand, at least on a superficial level, that it's unjust. Of course she's going to get angry about that and try to paint it as some identity politics oppression thing.
Which feels pretty gross.
Feels like he supports the Holocaust.
He uses analogies to the Holocaust, therefore he supports the Holocaust. It's that simple.
Discounts. He also every time he gives me an analogy to demonstrate how evil I am, it always involves the Holocaust, which feels pretty gross.
Feels like he supports the Holocaust.
If you use an analogy to something, specifically in a negative way, as a negative comparison, you support that thing.
I'm sure he would say he doesn't, but the fact that every analogy is always the Holocaust, and he knows that I'm Jewish, he knows that my grandparents are survivors, it just feels like he's particularly trying to use my history and my oppression.
Wow, she is just completely embroiled in these attempts at liberal ID politics. It's all about me. It's all about me. It's all about my identity, my oppression. But you've never been oppressed in your life. Holy fuck. She thinks she's been oppressed ever? Absolutely not. You do not inherit some sort of generational oppression based on the experience of your grandparents. She is now an oppressor in multiple different countries too. South Africa, Israel, Canada now too. For her to try to individualize this, for her to try to hearkening to essentially, what everyone understands is a universal evil. That's why I make Nazi comparisons. Everyone knows about Nazism. Everyone, at least every sane person, thinks that Nazism was evil. So the fact that Nazism was also a settler colonial project provides a really great frame of reference for which to draw a comparison to, which most people already have like not a good understanding of, not even remotely, but like, you know, they're familiar with it. They know what it is. It's absolutely a valid comparison to make in any such settler colonial context, because Nazism was essentially the culmination, the final radicalization of European settler colonialism, which you'll be seeing soon in my video, which is coming out in maybe like a week, hopefully. Hopefully, probably more than that, like 10 days. God, taking forever, but it's a long one. It's like a 2-hour long video. But you see, right, she's clearly someone who's relatively new to like this sort of politics. So she's just sort of getting into like sort of the appropriation of wokeness and such. And she thinks that like, you know, if someone makes an analogy that is inconvenient for you, you can just respond to it by saying, wow, that's offensive. How dare you even think of doing that? And that's it. So if you make an analogy to the Holocaust where you're clearly framing the Holocaust in an absurdly negative way and comparing something to it, and by doing so, also saying that it's negative, that means that you support the Holocaust according to these people. Like, just absolutely fucking marvelous. This is essentially, like, the fact that Vaush responds to a Zionist ethno-nationalist trying to whitewash her image by basically accusing me of supporting the Holocaust. It's just so absurd. It's the classic Zionist trope where anyone who criticizes Israeli settler colonialism supports the Holocaust, hates Jews.
And the fact that he just totally like discounts. He also, like, every time he gives me an analogy to demonstrate how evil I am, it always involves like the Holocaust, which feels pretty gross.
Feels like he supports the Holocaust.
You just can't get better than that. You cannot get better than that. I'm not sure how Vaush goes from one day like raising a bunch of money for an unambiguously good Palestinian charity, and then a few months later he's like talking to a Zionist ethno-nationalist and accusing people who are on his side and against her side of supporting the Holocaust just because she's nice to him, basically. Just because she flatters him. I don't know, there's something going on there with people caring way too much about like appearances and grudges than the actual issues at hand. I care about the issues at hand. That's why I don't qualify the things that I say. I'm happy. I own my opinions. I say them. I don't backtrack unless I think I was wrong. But these fucking people, for them, it's all about, yeah, it's just, she's nice to him. She flatters him. So the reality of her beliefs can just be ignored. And she presents him with an opportunity to attack someone who he has an internet grudge against in an incredibly dishonest way, despite the fact that this person is essentially the antithesis to his purported beliefs, at least on the Israel-Palestine issue. It's absurd. But anyway, it did at least give us that hilarious soundbite. Look at this Palestinian child. Look at this Palestinian child. What do we say? What do we say when we see a Palestinian child?
Feels like he supports the Holocaust.
That's what we say. Yeah, I mean, all they can do is essentially like say that basically like tone police me. Like, they don't like my tone. I'm not nice. Fuck yeah, I'm not nice. Israel is actively committing settler colonial genocide in Palestine. Of course I'm not nice about it. I'm not going to fucking put on my kids' gloves and be nice to you. You're either with me on this, or you're fundamentally on the side of the oppressor. There's no buts, there's no nuance here. And that's what the issue is here. So yeah, I'm uncivil. I'm not nice. I'm going to fucking yell at you because you fucking deserve it. And that's why, you know, they resort to essentially nothing but feelings. Oh, but like I'm of this identity category. How could he dare to address me in that way? Oh, he's so uncivil. He's so angry. He's yelling at me. They ignore everything to do with the actual arguments themselves. Everything to do with the fundamental, like, you know, the issue at hand, the context, the history. You know, who's oppressing who? Why and how are they oppressing them? It's all about how I feel in the moment. To them, that is of fundamental importance. And I think, you know, Aristocracy is absolutely a grifter. Vaush very well may be, but it's very grifty behavior to put like your personal grudges above the issue themselves. Whenever I see a Palestinian who dares to exist,
feels like he supports the Holocaust.